In Season 5.5 of Marvel Rivals, one of the worst DPS characters in the game is none other than the Amazing Spider-Man, who's pretty much been going through it since they took away his Venom team up and his Anchor bonus. So today I thought I would enter the shoes, the mind of the brilliant man we see every month, Guang Guang, and figure out how I would go about buffing the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, before we get into the buffs I would give him, let me go over my design philosophies real quick. 1 is fun. Why not balance? You can't make this game balanced. Get over it. 2, good. Duh, that's the entire purpose of this video. 3, skill expression. Great. Now with those out the way, Spider-Man himself is in a, well, he's always been in an interesting spot because he's been arguably the most polarizing character in this entire game, because being able to yoink somebody off the map is one of the most broken abilities in this game as a whole, and because in low elo he is a legitimate terrorist. In mid elo it becomes quite rough for him. The waters get a bit shaky, and then in high elo you just got to put the mask in the bag and just play a different character, because you have to move heaven and earth to have a good game with Spider-Man. It gets quite rough. It's real fun to watch Spider-Man go nuts. Like, we gotta be watching the Spider-Man go nuts, bonkers, ballistic. We gotta all admit it's pretty fun to watch. Now, when you're on the receiving end of it, you wish Peter Parker would never have a happy day in his life. When he's on your team, you're like, oh my God, he might actually be Peter Parker himself. So the first buff I would give Spider-Man is that the cooldown between using both amazing uppercuts is set to 0 and refreshes 1 amazing uppercut upon final hit. Now this buff could possibly be a mistake. This buff could be a possible mistake. So for those of you unaware, Spider-Man's amazing uppercut has 2 charges, and there is a 2-second cooldown between he can use charge number 1 and charge number 2. Which is quite interesting. I believe it is the only cooldown that works like that, because Panther can throw both spears immediately back to back. Magic can use both portals instantly back to back. I think all the other characters who have charges can use them pretty much back to back, like Thing and all that. So he's like the only character who has like a cooldown between he can use the first charge and second charge between things that are stored. I personally think it's fucking stupid, but I understand why they did it. Because while testing, Spider-Man essentially kills 250 just like instantaneously, because if you do web tracer, web pull, uppercut, they simply explode, which is, I can see why they did it. The problem is, with all the new buffs they've given strategists and the new strategists they have added, it's real hard to kill them. So I think he really needs this in order to kill, because he just can't kill otherwise. Like, they either get overshield, they heal instantly. It doesn't kill 275. You need 2 web tracers to kill 275 with the uppercut, and with 300, you know, you need 3 web tracers, which isn't impossible. But like I say, with it, you have to consider when it's something like Gambit. If you web tracer towards Gambit, pull to yourself towards him, an uppercut once, he's going to dash away, which means if he gets the second uppercut, he's going to live. Satan herself, she's unkillable. It doesn't fucking matter. She's not going to die regardless. You gotta move mountains to kill any strategist with Spider-Man. In order to kill these Spider-Man, conditions gotta be damn near perfect in order to kill people. And I think setting it to 0 would real help. Also, when testing this, at first I really thought that he couldn't move. Fun fact, he can actually move during his uppercut, which I know. I never really considered. So like, he can uppercut you once and then go around you, then uppercut you again. I still understand, because like in low elo this shit would be disgusting, but like I said, in high elo I think it would actually give him some kill potential. And then of course the second part is allowing it to refresh would be quite important, because it would allow Spider-Man to stay engaged. Because if you've ever watched a Spooderman in action, you will notice that Spider-Man's whole play style is in and out. Like, I know some people want Spider-Man to have overshields. I don't want him to have overshields. I want him to stay an assassin-like character. Like, all the assassin-like characters, I think, have high star ratings, I think, or high difficulty ratings. And I think they should stay with it, where they are not designed to stay in prolonged fights. That's not what they're meant to kill quick and then get out. Not to kill, stay, peruse, and no, I like his play style of the hyper mobility, him being super hard to hit. I think him being super hard to hit is his defensive ability, even though some people getting real used to it and can real fuck him up. But him being real hard to hit is kind of like his big defensive ability. So giving him an overshield, I just don't want that, because then it's like, oh, you get an overshield, you get an overshield. Everybody who wants an overshield, I got all this overshield here, and I just don't know who to give it to. Right? I don't want them to do that to him. I would like him to at least stay a bit intended of you're swinging around, you're going nuts, you're going ballistic. I do think these buffs kind of would, like, you would feel them. Like, I think in high elo, they would get used to it, and I think Spider-Man would kind of be a lot more effective. He would definitely be a lot more effective at dealing with Ultrons, I can tell you that, because the fact that Spider-Man can't deal with flyers that well, like the fact that Ultron kind of counters Spider-Man, like, is kind of nuts. This buff would kind of allow him to deal with Ultrons more easily, Storms, Iron Mans, even though you don't really see Storms or Iron Mans, the Human Torch, like other flyers so well. The fact that there is no cooldown on your uppercut, and Spider-Man already has 1,000,000,001 cancel, so I would assure you, like, his uppercut, in order to do the second one, you have to do the full animation of the uppercut. I'm sure there's some shenanigans people would figure out where they would cancel the uppercut. They would get the damage with the uppercut, instantly cancel it, and then do the uppercut and kill in like half a second, right? Some people are like, is that that isn't fair? No, but it's fun as fuck, and he needs it. Like I say, he's super killable and has 1,000,000,001 counters. The second buff and the last buff, I personally, be honest with you, I don't think Spider-Man's that far away. I know we act like Spider-Man is like super far away. I don't think he's actually that far away from being crazy. Like, I just don't think he is that far away. And this second buff that I think would really help him out is that he would get a web swing refresh upon elimination. We all know those eliminations where you shoot somebody 3 times and then someone else gets the kill, and then it's like, hey, look, you got an elim, right? We already know. Elim is a team-based stat. This would be big. Yes, this would be crazy, I think. Like I said, I don't play Spider-Man. If there's any Spider-Man players out there, you want to tell me what you would think of this? I think if every elim Spider-Man got, it would be insane. Because like I said earlier, like I mentioned earlier, his mobility is supposed to be like Spider-Man's defensive buff, is like the way I am interpreting NetEase is using him, where his defense is the fact that he's just real hard to hit a lot of the times, especially the good ones. And always getting a web swing upon elimination, A, allows for him to engage more, B, always be a part of team fights, because sometimes Spider-Man, they are forced to spectate, where if it's like, oh, I used a web to get in, I used a web to get out, now I have to, his web swings take 6 seconds in between, so sometimes they have to, if they use all the web swings, let's say to get out or escape, 18 seconds they're doing nothing, because you gotta bare minimum get 2 back, which means 12 seconds they have to wait a lot of times, or maybe if they're lucky and they got out 6 seconds, but sometimes to escape they gotta use 2 webs, so now they're 12 to 18 seconds they're sitting there waiting. This allows them to engage more, along with the uppercut buff, means that Spider-Mans can be engaged just a tad bit longer. Like I said, Spider-Mans have already maneuvered around the fact that they are super squishy, so giving them more mobility tools. Also, another thing with like the uppercut buff is that they can use their uppercuts more willingly, because if it is like, oh, I got a kill, I can get it back instantaneously. I think these 2 buffs would allow an avenue of creativity for Spider-Man to where he would be like a real problem, but he would still be manageable because he still has plenty of counters in the game, which is why I wouldn't personally be afraid of giving him these buffs. Like I said, now it could be a mistake. Like, it could turn out that these buffs would make every Spider-Man go fucking crazy, because when you think about every time you uppercut, get a kill, you instantly have another uppercut and you instantly have another web. Like I said, I want to keep him engaged in the team fights, because a lot of times what happens is, especially like I said, the higher elo you get, Spider-Man swings in, tries to kill somebody, he kills nobody, he swings out, he has to wait for 12 seconds for his webs, then depending upon how many uppercuts he uses, he may have to wait even longer for his uppercuts to come back, or his web swing to or his web pool to go back in. So now he has to wait several dozen seconds, if not more, for all his cooldowns to come back. His cooldowns come back, he goes, because you're not meleeing as Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a cooldown based character, and it would feel real nice for Spider-Man players if they could have more and use more of their abilities, since that's what the character is all about. I didn't want to just give him a raw damage buff. I don't like doing raw damage buffs, because all what happens in turn is that oh, the DPS do much damage. Now the strategist can't survive. Now we have to make the strategist more survivable. Now DPS do no damage to kill strategists. We got to buff it. And then, you know, you just infinite and cycle until one day it's just like, oh, if you're DPS, oh, DPS is a one shot. He's ass. Like, I don't kind of want that. I feel like for characters like Spider-Man, instead of just doing raw damage numbers, giving them more ability usage, which in turn increases their DPS, but doesn't increase just the raw numbers. I don't like just, let's just increase this number. Like I'm not a big fan of that, especially with characters like Spider-Man. I also didn't want to make his and like the rest of his kits fine. Like his ult does a lot of damage. Yeah, it's not CC immune, but I don't like it losing, or if I theoretically gave it a CC immunity, it loses its skillful use of it, like when to use it, how to use it. If it's just CC immune, you just be like, I'm gonna go in the middle of everyone regardless, fuck everyone, fuck everything, and then kind of like it uses skillful tactile use. I want it to still have its tactile use of knowing when to use it, knowing when not to use it, getting punished when you use it incorrectly, and I still want that expression. I think raw uppercut does enough damage. I think his web swing cooldowns, like I said, they would refresh with this theoretical buff, so like I think the cooldowns will be fine on that. I think his web pool, I think it's a 7-8 second cooldown. I think that's a fine enough cooldown there. I really contemplated every time he got a final hit refreshing that one, but then I thought about it and I was like, I don't think we just want to see him pull 7 people off the map back to back, because I'm just thinking of the Wakanda map of him pulling someone off the map, getting his web zip, going back across, doing it again, pulling someone back, and it's just a fucking ping pong going back and forth as he pulls it. I thought about that. I was like, nah, I think the uppercut probably have more use, or be more effective in that way and ability. And these are the buffs I would give to Spider-Man. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. What do you think this would do to the character? You think you see him more, see him less? See him more in pro play, see him less in pro play, see him more in high elo, low elo, mid elo. Just let me know your thoughts down below. And that is all I got for this video. And I will catch you all in the next one.